Hey guys, a while back I was really interested in the concept of student choice, right? So just to give you a little bit of background, I was thinking to myself, I really hate when I feel like I don't have choice. I get very frustrated. When I feel like the decisions are already made for me, it's really irritating. And in school, most of the time, what you guys will experience, what the students experience, if you're ever in school, is that all the decisions are made for you. So, what you're going to do for homework, what you're going to do on the test, what material is going to be covered. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you want. We're going to do it in this order. We're going to do it at this speed. And that's it, right? Vora does a lot of those things better. We change a lot of those things. We say, we can take extra time. We can take less time. We can move ahead. We can do it very, very quickly. We can whatever. We can also change topics, which is helpful, right? So you have this ability to switch around a bit if you get really frustrated in math. Not all the time in order to avoid every bad problem, but we do have that freedom a bit. But working with Jared the other day, I had another moment, a bigger moment of choice. So I want to show it to you guys. We were working on this problem over here, fairly simple logs problem. Well, it's a bit more complex, right? So, he obviously said 0 at first, but that's wrong. And so he's discussing it with me, and I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And he got it right. Okay, he did, so -1/2. And I asked him why it's negative. And he explained this thing doesn't make any sense, right? One negative makes it half, then another one makes it does not in any way. I don't know what that means. So I politely told him that it was super duper wrong. And then I asked him, okay, what does negative exponent do in general? He said, takes the square root. All right. So I knew what the problem was going to be. I know that in that question, it's always negatives, negative exponents and fractional exponents, one or both, right? One or the other or both. So right, caught you confusing all those things up. And I asked, and this is the key part here, I asked, can we do 2 quick worksheets to sort out those things, right? Caught you confusing all those things up, can we do 2 quick worksheets? This is just the explanation of it. Those 2 things are really a high percentage of this particular test that he's working on. Okay, so I'm trying to convince him, but I'm asking him, right? Asking him first. He said, I don't think I have a choice. And this is where it gets really, really big. I like for students to feel like they have a choice. And technically they do, and I'll show you that later. So I said, actually, I'm really big on choice. So I want to convince you. But if you really don't want to, I won't force. I believe that you should own your education. It is yours. It's not mine. So choice. All right. So he said, yes, let's. Well, that's fine. Jared and I actually have a pretty decent relationship. Most of the time, if I tell him to do something, he'll do it anyways. It's kind of fine. I had a feeling he'd probably say, okay. So we do the thing, right? And that's chill. But having had that discussion, it builds trust, right? So now Jared trusts more so that I have his best interests at heart. And when the students, I've mentioned this before, when the students fundamentally believe that they trust that we have their best interests at heart, that changes everything. They go to school and they know, they can tell the difference, right? The teachers that you liked when you were in high school, you liked them because you felt like they actually cared about you. They cared about your best interests, not theirs, not someone else's in the class, but your best interests. That's why you liked them, right? Now, maybe that was just because you were good at the thing and the teacher liked you because you were good at the thing. Fine, whatever. But you can still feel it. The students can feel it. They can tell. So we do this, right? If we scroll down for a minute. All right, so I jumped us down. And we got through the first worksheet, so I wanted to do 2 worksheets. I wanted to do negative exponents. I wanted to do fractional exponents. We got through negatives, which was the most important one, so I started with that. And then we're into this. We're 11 questions in, and he says, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And I asked, okay, why? Well, what's the rule? So I thought that he was sort of saying, I don't really understand this one. And he said, and this might not be true. Okay, so remember skepticism. He said, I can do this, but, I just don't want to. Right? So I'm trying to convince him still, you can't forget this. It's also 30% of the test. It's also super important. Raising a power to a power. Good rule. Big thing, right? But he says he can do it. And so in my mind, I'm like, all right, that's fine. Let's see. Why? Because we have the ability to go back and do it again in 2 days. And it just doesn't matter, right? It doesn't necessarily matter for today. We'll go back to the question. We'll see what happens. And so I literally said, oh, I see. All right. And then I sent out the question. Did we finish this review question? This is the review question that we were on, right? Oh, we actually didn't go back to the log one, which I literally just realized. For some reason it was not in the pinned items. But, point being, so I should have gone back to the log question. But, this is the idea, right? I just said, okay, all right, like, that's fine. Let's do it, right? Now, also, right, I asked if we finish this one. He said, if I say yes, can we skip over it? And I said, well, we can't skip everything. Now, this is the very important part, right? So I made a joke about doing leg day, and that's fine. But the point being, so we have to have simultaneously like a sternness and also an on your team aspect, right? So if you are someone's coach and someone is like puking, maybe you'll be like, okay, cool, like you can sit on the bleachers for 20 minutes, like chill out, right? So you're not gonna like force them to do just insane things that are miserable and that are gonna cause them to suffer. But if you are their coach, you're also gonna make them do leg day. So that there's this like balance. So keeping that in mind, right, a lot of times, just a thing to look out for. If you do start skipping students ahead, if you do this aspect of choice and you do say, all right, cool, like we don't have to do it if you don't want to, that's fine. You're going to run into this thing where they're going to then want to skip over everything, right? You also have to pay attention to the mindset of the student. I would never, ever, ever do this with Ida, realistically, because Ida just wants to make us skip everything, right? She doesn't want to do any of the questions. So you have to know the student. I would never do this on the student's first day. I might talk about choice. So I would be very, very careful, right, with doing it first day or like your first day working with the student, even if they've been here for a while. Just make sure that you understand the student, that you know the student pretty well. If the student is in any way stubborn, like Kat or somebody, just don't do this, right? But it is a useful mindset for students who are generally amenable. Maybe they complain a little bit, and you can just match them on their level of complaint, right? Okay, so all right, fine. If you really don't want to do this, like we'll skip it. Questions about this, definitely ask me. It is a like super big thing. It's totally different from anything I've ever taught you. You guys are ready now to learn different types of teaching, different big sorts of things that you can do. So I'm showing you this. Do not use this all the time. This is the first time I've used this in like months. Okay, just to give you perspective. There's that aspect. But definitely come ask me questions. Talk to me. Look over this conversation if you'd like. See how it goes. Cool.